Well, hey, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. My name is Jen Duplessis, and I want to talk to you today about leveraging leadership. And I'm going to start off with a quick story. My mentor, Les Brown, says if you'll do what's easy, if you do what's easy, your life will be hard. If you do what's hard, your life will be easy. And so what I'm talking about today is doing something a little hard, which is working in, on, and above and beyond your business. We're going to be talking about that here today. And I learned this the hard way because there I was standing outside the restaurant when we were at dinner with our family, and dinner, so-called dinner, right? And I was walking, it's hard to do this here. I was walking what I call the concrete balance beam, which is when you're on the phone and you're doing this number, talking to your clients, right? We've all done that. The walking the balance beam. And I happened to look over into the restaurant, into the window of the restaurant, and I saw my family laughing and enjoying themselves and creating all these beautiful memories, but I wasn't in them. And that's when I realized I had to do something different in my life and different in my business in order to get to where I wanted to go. And I was working endless hours, really sacrificing my health to create wealth. And I was tired of it. And in that moment, I said, I am done proving. I'm going to start living my life. And so I set out on a 3-year, thank you for joining, a 3 or 4 year path where I was developing, I was trying to crack the code because I was like, there's got to be a way that I don't have to work this many hours. I can get higher and better results. There's got to be a code for this. And nobody really had the code that I was looking for, so I created my own code. And I cracked that code. And the reason why I'm sharing this today with leadership is that so many of us have a lid on our businesses because we won't let go. And that was my challenge. No one can do it better than me, right? I'll just do it myself. Give it to me, I'll just do it. And then who works for whom, right? And so this is one of the things that it's my favorite topic to be talking about, ironically. And I'm calling it leveraging leadership. So, there it goes. So I have a mantra, which is mindset plus methods equals momentum. And we have to have both sides. At the time, back then, I was in the mortgage business and I was closing $50 million a year in production. And I was in the top 1% of all loan officers in the country. There's 1 million loan officers. Actually, there were 785,000 at that time. So I was in the top 70,000. But I knew I could do better. And I just wanted to do the 50 million and not work forever, all night long, weekends, etc. I can tell you that I had most of my meals by myself and they were cold because my family gave up on me. So all I wanted to do was get my time back. But what I realized is that I had to change my mindset. It wasn't about the tasks that I was doing, but it was about the mindset I had in doing it. And that's when the momentum happened. And 4 short years later, I was doing $100 million in production, and I was working 4 days a week. And now I have the luxury of doing that if I choose to do that, work those 4 days a week. And so I said, gosh, I'm onto something here. There's something to be said about what this is about. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. So our objectives are to talk about entrepreneurial growth, branding your message, and the leadership cycle. So I don't think I need to go in about me. You can just read it up there. So I've been doing a lot of things for a lot of years, and we'll continue to do a lot of things, God willing, for a lot more years. I have lots and lots of books. If you're still here today at 4:30, I'm doing a book signing over in the book signing. We'll be signing this book here. So we'd love to have you come over and join us. And I have a television show called Tell Me I Can't. We're in 350 million homes every month with my show. So we'd love to have you watch that. Been on cover of lots of magazines. Okay, so let's talk about entrepreneurial growth. Hey, by the way, this is interactive, okay? For the whopping 3 of you in here, but it's interactive. So how many times have you heard, and I want you to finish this sentence for me. Don't work in your business, work on your business. So I believe that you should not work in your business for a long time. right? Or on your business for a long time, but instead start working above and beyond your business. Getting rid of the lid that we have on our businesses so often. Thank you, Ken, for coming in. So, this is called smart scaling, and there's a couple phases to this, and this is where so many people lose out. Come on in and join us. You're welcome to come in. Lose out. So the first phase is me, and I'm big on acronyms, and I'm big on all kinds of poems and things like that. So the me, there's 3 M's. The first is me. This is working in your business. Everything is you. I'm the bottle, whatever they call it, the cook, the chef, everything. I call it, actually in my book, I call it the finder, the minder, and the grinder. You do all the things. All the business comes to you. You manage all the business. You do all the grunt work. You do all those pieces. That's working in your business. And that works for a short period of time. But I find that most entrepreneurs stay there. They stay there working in their business for years and years and years. Second phase is methods. So what happens in the methods is you get to the point where you're busy enough and you say, okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and hire somebody. But a lot of times we don't have our systems written down, our process written down. And as a result of that, when we hire someone, they don't stick. And we walk around saying, oh, they're awful. They're terrible. They didn't get it. They don't get it. When in fact, we should be doing thumb pointing saying, I wasn't prepared. I didn't have a systematic approach to it. I didn't have anything written down. And so what we end up doing with these employees or these team members is that we enable them. They can't make decisions. They have to ask mommy and daddy every time. So as you're standing there, you're saying, okay, here I'm in. Thank God I hired somebody. Now I'm going to start going out and doing what I love to do, except you get suckered back in because they can't make decisions because you didn't give them the tools to do it. Is that making sense? And so there's this back and forth that happens all the time. I tried to hire somebody, it was terrible. I'm never going to hire anybody again. I'll just do it myself. But you're capping your opportunity because of that. And it's your own preparation that has caused the issue. And there's lots of depth behind this too, who you hire, personalities, hiring for a role instead of hiring for the breath test. Hey, I like you, so why don't you come in? We'll figure out a place for you to work. Worst thing you could ever do. And people do it all day long, and it drives me crazy. So the methods are the issue, but you're enabling people. So the next phase in this is that I'm just making sure that the clickers have been kind of funny, so I'm making sure they're coming up. The next phase is the message. So now in this phase, what you're doing is everybody is managing the message. You're teaching people, here are our non-negotiables. I'm going to go into some details about this. But the message now becomes an empowerment for your team. And a good example of this is Starbucks. When you go to Starbucks, and we were in Starbucks yesterday, and I said, listen to this. They're doing exactly what I say, right? When you go to Starbucks, they say, what can we get started for you? That is a message that has been trained. When you go to McDonald's, they say, can I take your order? That's a message that's been trained. How about Chick-fil-A? When you say, thank you so much, they say, what? My pleasure. That is a message that's been relayed down to the employees and the team members so that the voice of the owner, the voice of the company is being heard by everybody, and now you're empowering people. Empowering them. And so what happens is that in this phase, instead of you managing yourself, instead of you managing people because they can't make their own decisions because you don't have systems to help them, everyone starts managing the message. And now it allows you to step further away from your company. You're still the heart, but further away from your company so that you can start working and thinking about all the things beyond. And your team now can make decisions. And when you have that success, when someone says to you, when you call them back from leaving a message, and you call back and they say, oh, don't worry, I already talked to one of your team members and it was just like talking to you. That's when you're not required to be there. You don't need to be there in order for your business to be successful and keep moving forward. Is that making sense? Are you with me on that? Okay. So let's dive into the messaging. the branding your message. I call this the 3 V's. So we had the 3 M's. Now we have the 3 V's, okay? And these 3 V's are inside that third M, the message. First is your vision. What is the vision of your company? Do you even have a vision? A lot of times we don't sit back and say, this is what I'm looking for in my practice at all. By the way, I don't call it a business, I call it a practice. Because if you're the expert, welcome. If you're the expert, then you have a professional practice. And as soon as you start thinking that way and elevating yourself, now it's not just, I got a business and I work hard and I got a business. So it's really, really key for that. So what is your vision? What do you want to accomplish in your business? And have you written it down? And it's not a mission, because a mission is how I'm going to accomplish my vision. But have you written it down and have you shared it with your team? Or are they in oblivion? They have no idea what you're trying to do. And you get angry because they're not helping you meet that vision goal, but it's your own fault, right? Thumb pointing. So the first is your vision. Second is your core values. I'm huge on core values. What are your personal core values? Do you know them? If I came up to you right now and said, what are your personal core values? Would you be able to tell me? Or would you be guessing, going, family? Well, I don't know. Is that a core value or is that a question? Because it has to be conviction. And if you've never sat down and done your core values, the best way to do it is to do the opposite. What don't you like? I don't like people who aren't honest, so honesty must be a core value. I don't like people that aren't accountable. They don't do what they say they're going to do in the time frame that they do it. Then accountability becomes a core value. First, assess it for yourself and then go back in and do it for your business, because they may be similar, but not always, right? So for mine, for example, my personal core values are faith, family, stability, integrity, and accountability. Yes, I have that in my practice where I'm faith forward, but I'm not preaching, right? So I'm going to have a few different core values. But now share those core values with your team. What are your non-negotiables? When I was in the mortgage business, one of the non-negotiables, I wish my husband was standing out there. It's so funny. If someone called me and said, hey, what's the status of the loan? Or can you tell me where we're at in the process or any of that? I would freak out. Nobody calls us for the status. When someone calls you for what's happening in a process, in your sales process, you've lost. It's taking... not depositing in, but withdrawing from the trust account. All of those interactions. It's also a 20-minute conversation, and it's a defensive mode. Because now you go, yeah, let me find out. And now they're putting that little ounce of doubt into the customer experience, which is a whole other conversation, right? So we always made the outgoing call that said, hey, nothing's going on. We just wanted to touch base. Or here's what's happening, and here's the next step. It's 1 minute. It's an offensive move. And every time that the phone rings and they see my name, they're like, oh, I like that, right? They'll take the phone call. Big fault that people do. And we experience it with our doctors, right? You get a test done and then you're like, hey, what are the results? I'm over here wondering, and you have to call them. You kidding me? That drives me nuts. So core values, but you've got to share them with your team so they know the non-negotiables as well. Last but not least is your voice. This is probably, well, I'm not going to say probably, I use absolute terminology. This is the biggest problem. They don't have your voice. So this is a rhetorical question. If you're on the phone with someone and you're needing documentation or a contract or you're trying to solve something, and they say, well, my father just passed away, what do you say? Because I'm going to stop and say, oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so sorry. How are you? Are you okay? Right? I'm going to stop and I'm going to say, don't worry about the paperwork. It's okay. We got you. What can we do for you? That's my voice. But the reason I talk about this is because I had one of my team members years ago, when that happened, they said, oh, I'm so sorry, but when can you get the paperwork? That's not my voice. Not at all. So I said, no, 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 no. We're going to, whoa, 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 whoa. Right? And this is an evolving thing. I even do it with my team now. You know, I'll say, thank you for putting that out there, but maybe we could say it this way. Or how about if we say something along the lines here? Let me take a look at it first, because I want my voice to be heard, right? So are you formal? Are you informal? Do you use emojis? Do you call people? Do you text people? Are you an emailer? What does the email say? Is it good morning, good afternoon, greetings, and how do you sign it? So you've got to have your voice, and that's exactly what I said when I was talking about Starbucks and everybody. That is a voice that they've trained those people to have that voice. You will never grow if you don't train people to do that. I can't imagine Sam Walton standing around we can't open any Walmarts unless I'm in that Walmart, because I'm the one that's going to greet them, and then I'm going to run through the store and I'm going to stock, and are they checking out yet? Are they checking out yet? And then I'm going to run over there and I'm going to check them out, and I'm going to say, hi, welcome, and I'm going to bag their stuff, and then I'm going to run on the other side and say, thanks for coming to Walmart. You know, he could never grow his business. There's not a single franchise out there that could grow their business if they're not doing these three things. So why aren't we as entrepreneurs? I don't understand it. And if you're not an entrepreneur and you're a manager, that's your team. That's your team too. Matter of fact, that's your family. What is our joint voice? What is our vision? It's your spouse. My husband and I are celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary this year. I know. And one of the things that we do is we have a recommitment meeting every single year that says, what is our vision for this year? How many houses do we want to buy? How many things do we want to give up? What do we want to do, right? So we look at what we want to do, and then we talk about our core values changing. And by the way, they do. Because one of our core values now our kids are older, we're grandparents, but one of the core values was being at every single game and being there with them. That's not the case anymore. Right? We don't need to be at all their things. They need to be at their kids' things. We just need to do our things for us. So core values do change. And then what is the voice? The united front that we want with our children. That's important. So that it's not go ask dad, go ask, but mom said, but dad said, right? So this goes through all your entire life. So these core values, these 3 V's are really great. Are you with me okay? Everybody okay? Are you learning? Yes? Okay. How much time do I have? I don't have the 5-minute thing yet. I just want to know how much time I have, if I can go through this or not. I can't hear. 7 minutes. Okay, thank you. All right, so then there's this thing called the leadership cycle. A lot of people that are great widget makers, when they start a company of making widgets, they're not really good at management or leadership, right? So I'm a good widget maker, so I'll just go make widgets at my new company that I'm supposed to own, but I'm the one who's making widgets, right? Doesn't make sense. So let me introduce you to the manager or the leadership cycle. The first thing about it is you have to motivate people. You can't come down on them and yell and scream. You have to motivate. You have to assess if they are, man, this is struggling for me because I don't know if it's clicking. You have to assess, let me pop them all up and then I can just talk, okay? You have to assess their ability and their willingness. Have you trained them properly and they're just not doing it and there's another problem going on? Have you expressed to them properly or they don't want to do it, or do we need more training in a specific area, okay? So that's the first thing. You have to keep it motivated. The second thing is we get out on the outside is you have to set expectations, which I love when you said this in your room. I wrote that down. If you don't set what'd you say? Expectations without agreement is premeditated resentment. I think I said disappointment, but it's premeditated disappointment. Yeah, it's really super powerful. I love that. So we have to set expectations, and then, thank you, we have to set expectations, but then we also have to inspect those expectations. We can't just set it and walk away. I call it drive-by delegation, right? Just driving by and throwing stuff out. So drive-by delegation, we have to set the expectation, inspect it, and then we've got to give positive feedback that's related to that individual, whether they have the ability or willingness. And then we reset expectations. So I'm going to give you an example. How many of you have kids? Right? So Here's a drive-by delegation. Clean your room. Go clean your room. And it's not positive, right? It's like, go clean your room. So they go and they clean their room. And you happen to be walking by because you're not planning to inspect. You have to plan to do it. But you happen to be walking by and you're like, get over here. Get over here. How come you haven't cleaned your room? How come you haven't cleaned? Is this positive? No. Get over here and clean your room. And then you reset. How do you reset? Because we've all done it. How come that's on the floor? Why is this here? I want you to make your bed. Your things need to be over there. This needs to be here. I want you to dust there. And now you're really doing a good job at setting expectations, but you're in the reset and you've lost a lot of time, and especially in an office environment. You reset, right? So reset, and then we gave feedback by yelling, by the way. Right? That was our feedback. And then we reset the expectations, and we do the circle again, and we go in and check. Good job, good job. But imagine if we were good enough to do this the first time, and that we scheduled an inspection, and then our feedback was positive, and it was based on, wait a minute, do they know how to make a bed? Or is it they're just not willing? And so transcend that into a business. It's the same thing. You following me? So that's a management or leadership cycle. It's both things. So here's what we covered. Entrepreneurial growth, right? Branding, finder, minder, grinder. We talked about that. In, on, above, and beyond, the 3 V's. And then we talked about the leadership cycle. So I want to just tell you quickly about Make Your Mark. It is our, and if we pass those out. So Make Your Mark. We have a mastermind. I love mastermind. Actually, Ken, who's sitting here, has been a speaker at one of my masterminds and my retreats, right? We do a lot of them, but we would love to talk to you about an application process. It's not a given. An application process for being in our mastermind called Make Your Mark. These are just some fun things that we've done with them. The clicker's not working. We had the White House chef come to our property last fall and do a personal dinner with us out on it. We live on 21 acres in Virginia. It was beautiful. We had so much fun. And but there's lots of membership benefits. You know, the thing about masterminds is you will grow exponentially, and you will grow quickly, and you'll grow with not only my guidance and my expertise and my mentorship, but those that are also in your mastermind. So if you've not been in a true mastermind, this is a chance to do that. And the results, again, you'll multiply your results in record time. We don't have infinite time, but when we have other people helping us, we can get to where we want to go much, much faster. So if you're interested in that, you can go to Make Your Mark Mastermind and complete the application. And I'm going to pause because Bill's about ready to take a picture. And so you can go to Make Your Mark Mastermind, or you can complete the information that we have here. Come visit us at our booth. And last but not least, I'm signing these books at 4:30. We'd love to have you over there. That's it. Thank you so much for coming in here and sharing this with me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.